something fun now. Let's go over some Firecracker names, coaches, and players, and you riff on them. You give like a 1 or 2 sentence. Didn't want to go over this in advance because I want it to be spontaneous. Lauren Chamberlin.
Amazingly entertaining. Dynamic, goofy, funny, loving, passionate, and for her young age has already helped thousands of young women feel better about themselves. So yeah, amazing.
Don Minard.
Don Minard, our patriarch, our last living patriarch. The other ones have passed away. Wisest man I've ever known. I think I mentioned Gary Wardine was the most intelligent man. Don is the smartest man I've ever known. He is Charles Kuralt, I've said that before, and he's Don Rickles. He's everything. I think I get emotional because I know his story. And off the record, I know I only have so much time with him. Because I've done this before John Dakes died. I've done this before Norm passed. And Don's 82, and I want to think he's going to live another 20 years. But I don't know. So anyways, what Don has provided is he's underappreciated for the fact that he doesn't want to be appreciated. He doesn't do anything to be appreciated. But he has been like the staple. He's been my softball father. He's been just a source of stability, guidance. And he's been very, very good. From his fiery background and his childhood, he is so calm and so well delivered in everything that he says and handles everything in life, which is this amazing dignity. And so Don is the deal. Don is one of the most important men in my life.
Well said. Sis Bates.
Chosen. She's been chosen. She's been chosen to do what she does. Sis is at a point in her life right now where she gets it, she gets the influence she has on people, but she's not at comfort with herself in that role yet because, putting yourself out for others and staying tethered and being who you are can be two different places. My son will tell you, Jonathan will tell you that at home, I'm not on the phone all the time. I'm not looking for people to talk to. I'm not Mr. Chatty. It's this complete, utter, almost alter ego Tony. Sis has been chosen for this. And I tried to explain that to her, that the way she's making people feel is she has an ability to create change within them. So whatever that ends up being is, I don't know what it's going to transform into, but she has just been chosen. I believe that's it's the only thing that explains my life is I've been chosen for the things that I'm doing because this was not consciously done.
Ashley Hansen.
Whew. First word that popped in my head was perfect, and the only reason I mean that, let's say well-rounded. Ashley has everything. My gosh, she was a skinny little kid that came to our program, and we had 3 amazing catchers. We had Jessica Schultz, Lenny Correa, and Ashley Hansen coming. And Ashley Hansen had just caught the national championship game as a freshman for the Hot Shots the year before, and she comes to our program, and we've got 3 great catchers. I watched Ashley Hansen field a ground ball, and I was like, she is an amazing-looking infielder. Does she even know that? She went on to receive her scholarship, and she was National Player of the Year at Stanford as a second baseman and shortstop. Completely well-rounded, no extreme highs, no extreme lows. Ashley Hansen is somebody that I want to be, and she's like a third of my age just because of her makeup. She's amazing. Just had her first baby. Her husband Nolan is a great guy. She's got a great job in the big industry world now, and I could not be proud of her. Great family, great kid.
Lovey Johnson.
First one to go to the top. So she was that first pioneer that came down and first one to get to the top. Humble background, humble beginning. I won't get into the description of it, but came from very little, but had the family of extreme love. And Gloria and BJ, her parents, very solid household. Could be misunderstood if you didn't know them. And Lovey was the first one to go from an extremely humble background to going to the USA program and influencing women all across the world, and is now a firefighter and a beautiful mom, and extremely proud of Lovey.
In-house, you mentioned her, Robin Ferris.
The world's greatest fan. The world's greatest fan. She is the biggest fan of our players. I can't even tell you how much happiness. I couldn't even describe it, and I don't know if Robin could. She loves our kids and our program so much. I'd say at times to a fault, because it's hard to stay professional when you're so in love with what you do. But you want to talk about not being able to give any more for a program. Robin stepped forward in 2002 after our representative from Worth had exited the picture, and she just stepped forward to me and said, "Nobody's really been helping you. Can I step forward?" And I remember seeing her walk around and stuff like that. And so she took care of us for about 5 years, or maybe a little longer than that. Great. Ended up losing her job and called me. She says, "I'm done with Worth." And she was a little upset because she figured the relationship was done. I said, "This is the best day of your life." And she says, "What do you mean?" I said, "I don't know. I'm going to figure that out." And she's been our national equipment coordinator ever since.
Melissa Roth.
Woo. Piss and vinegar. Very special. A softball daughter. One of our first players to not overachieve, but when she was on our team, she wasn't one of the I think the 5 seniors. She wasn't the one pegged for UCLA and Arizona like the rest of them. And then she's the one that became a 2-time All-American, Conference Player of the Year at Louisville, set the trend there. Team USA, first-round draft pick for the Pride, and now I watch her give lessons in this warehouse and give to kids, similar to how Robin Ferris does as a fan, but Melissa gives to this sport and to her kids. And she's a lot like me, so I started with piss and vinegar, but she's way ahead of where I was at 30 years old. I could not have done what she's doing now at her age.
Brie Tobin.
So Brie came into our warehouse. Leanie Correa brought her in when Leanie played for us, and she was taking lessons from Norm. And right here where this batting cage is, where Brie used to hit. And Norm used to sit right here in his chair and watch her. And she was just so she was an Islander and of the culture, and just fun to watch, kind of soft-spoken, and played for us, had a great year, great career with us, great career at Carson, was a tremendous home run hitter. Tailored off a little bit her senior year at UCLA this year. But speaking with her after her home run, she's hit a lot of home runs, and she hit the 2 home runs in the College World Series this year. But the story is, and I know she embraces this now, but she was 0 for 26 before that. So here you have a renowned home run hitter, kind of slipping down a little bit in her last year, not performing like she had, and then comes up 0 for 26 and hits the home run. So, of course, that's the most special home run she's ever hit in her life now, for 2 reasons. She's told me she's always wanted to hit one on the biggest stage, and she did that, but how much more special after going over 26. And now the relatable story to all of the players that struggle, just put Brie in place for a nice role model.
Well said. Megan Willis.
The first firecracker to develop her own brand. The first firecracker that consciously or subconsciously knew what it is that she had and took a picture of her face in a catcher's mask with her eyes and those eyes popping out. And the first thing I thought of is if she would have taken that picture from 150 feet away, you would have seen a young lady in catcher's gear. She took the picture right here, and you saw Megan's face popping through that mask. So she had her own brand. She was the second player, but really the first player of notoriety that taught our other players how to throw from her knees. But Jenny Topping was in our program in the 90s, and she was the first one that really threw from her knees. And Megan is just proud of her. She's working for USSSA right now in the corporate office and doing a great job, and couldn't be prouder of her.
Another Megan Langenfeld.
Professional softball player. professional like at age 12 before she came to us. She was sitting in our stands at 13 over at Los Amigos, and I asked one of the coaches, who's this young lady? And again, I'm full of sarcasm, and one of our coaches said, she's here to evaluate your practice to see if she wants to play for us. And I looked over, and I don't even remember what I said, but it was something really inappropriate. And she sat there like this the whole time and just watched us. Didn't say anything. So I had a little conversation with her afterwards, and she impressed me about as much as you could in 2 minutes. And she was evaluating us. And luckily for us, we impressed her enough, she wanted to play for us after that. And so went on and did some great things. A pitcher and a hitter, so probably we've had a lot of great players that could pitch and hit, but none that established the standards she did, and she did it and won our nationals for us in 2007, and then she went on and won the College World Series as a hitter and pitcher for UCLA in 2010.
Rob Weil.
The best of the best. When Rob's in the pocket, there's nobody better. Rob's a lot of things. He's an entertainer. He's got what I call a Babe Ruth persona, and he owns it, and there's a lot of great parts and dynamics to Rob. Rob gives to his family. He gives to a lot of people. You know, it makes you wonder sometimes if he's giving enough to himself, but amazing man, and his body of work is ridiculously large, and I don't know if it'll ever be duplicated.
Taylor Van Zee.
Just here. Taylor is physically striking, but not just because of her looks. She almost has like a TV persona look or something. I don't know what it is, but her family, her background, the humility, the goats, the animals, she gets her hands dirty. She's a hard worker. She's human, and plays this game at an extremely high level. But wow, along with Sis Bates, I mean, watching her play alongside of Sis and watching that dynamic, that was very, very special. Whenever we ask Taylor and any of our alumni to come back and give back, Taylor is always the first one to come back. So her and Sis came back to this last weekend for the Quest for the Best, and they really added to that event. We did the ceremony to honor Mark Campbell. Working with Scotty Smith, I just want to throw this really quick. Scott Smith's For the Heroes movement, where they honor fallen firefighters and police officers. So we both collaborated on a patch with Play with Honor and a jersey that we presented to Mark Campbell's family. And so that was great. And Sis and Taylor Van Zee were there for that night. So the entire night was really rounded out with some special things. And Taylor never hesitates to be there in the middle of things. And wow, another player that we're really lucky to have part of her program.
Marisa Young.
One of the first of the best. And you know, Marisa is right now. There's another name, Ruby Rojas. They came similar backgrounds and very dignified, high integrity. Marisa, I don't think I've ever seen her lose her dignity. Just has it very well put together. And from the upbringing of Robert and Marcy, her parents, and Robert is one of the greatest men in softball. You know, again, going back, his story needs to be recognized at some point. Going back to the 90s, hardcore, blue collar. Some people don't want to hear that term, but it's blue collar, hands-on, pain station. Marisa is his daughter, and she came out with flying colors, man. She is beautiful. So coaching at Duke now and inducted to the Orange County Hall of Fame, and has a nice professional career, but she goes back. She was on our first national championship team in 1994.
This is the last one. Give you a little second to prepare for this one. Mm-hmm. Could be emotional. Norm Perez.
Norm, it's not that, you know, I've been through so many emotions with Norm and about him since he's been gone, because he was so beloved. Norm was beloved by everybody. Norm is a people person. Everybody loves Norm. If you don't love Norm, you didn't know him. He was just that guy. And he became a very good barometer, an important barometer for me in the dugout, because a common, I would say, defect, because you don't always feel great about yourself when you're doing the things in the dugout that you need to do to lead a team. Sometimes as a player, when you're the guy, the person, whatever, it's not always a proud moment when you got to create change very fast. And whenever I would take it up to that line or over that line in intensity, Norm would just do this. He'd have his hand like this, and he'd have his finger over his mouth, and he'd just look at me like this. And that was his way of saying, that's enough. And so missed that. John Dakes was another great man, joined us in 1996, but another guy, same thing. John Dakes was beloved by everybody. He's been gone a few years now. Norm and John passed within 2 years of each other, and they were very important fixtures of our landscape. So great men, and I just want to make them proud and carry on the things that they taught us, and hopefully continue to create the standard that they help us set. So along with those names and the history and the pioneers and you know, this conversation mainly being about, you know, the history of our signature program that allowed everyone to share in the name and then develop their own success. Across the country, we have people that have worked really, really hard in this organization and have built their own cultures within the culture. So Sean Bashir, our vice president, and what he's done and where he's created that "we want to play for you" culture, and he has just done an amazing job. Randy Kay in Arizona has taken that post down there for, gosh, ever since the first regional manager there left. And Randy has, again, blood equity, sweat equity. He's done a great job. Tony Rosales was formerly in Dallas-Fort Worth, but actually has moved out here. Mike Baisden, Curtis Miller up in NorCal, Ben McKinney in North Carolina, Bill Hoops in Florida. We've got Scott McDonald in Georgia. We've got regional managers and people who run what we call umbrellas that are taking the flag, Brentt. They're taking the flag with their people, and I'm sure there's one or two I haven't mentioned, but without them carrying the flag of the Firecrackers, they are the managers of the organization. And every player across this country right now is the brand. So, you know, kind of a funny analogy, but if we are, or whatever could be, the Starbucks of softball, the players are the coffee. And we're working hard to always make sure that that stays that way, because I think often they are the third party in the equation.